I'll say welcome. My name is Tiernan McElwain. I'm the Director for Child and Family Partners and also MSW intern with the Developmental Preschool and Daycare over in Laramie, Wyoming. So this kind of fits two bills for me tonight. I get to do some work on my practicum while I'm also doing training for work. So nice to fit the two together. Tonight, we're going to be talking about promoting children's success, and particularly with a focus on building relationships from Module 1 of the pyramid model on social and emotional development. But before we kind of jump in, I want to give folks a chance to practice something here. So if you wouldn't mind, if you can click on the annotate, there's an annotate marker. And let's see if I can share my screen so it's a little easier for you to see what I'm doing. You can see where my cursor is up on the controls for Zoom. There's an annotate button, and I'm going to select, well, in this case, I'm going to select text, but you could select draw or stamp or something. So I'm going to select text, and I'm going to say, hi, come on. Hi from Cheyenne. So each of you give it a try. Tell us where you're at, share your name or whatever you want to be called tonight, and practice annotating because we're going to be doing some of that tonight. We want to take advantage of the technology, right? Let's see who's going to get it up there first. Oh, Erica did. Well done, Erica. You can't win a prize though, so. Up, Katie. Katie's going to be our first gift certificate winner tonight. Erica, will you keep track of that for us? Katie, congratulations. $10 gift certificate to Amazon is all yours. Let's see. I'm waiting for some more here. Leanne from Glen Rock. Good job, Leanne. Thank you. Let's see who's going to be next here. I really want to give everybody a chance to do this. So, because later on we are going to be practicing. Oh, Anne from Glen Rock is on there. We've got Jen from Cheyenne. Thanks, Jen. Somebody's saying something in the chat. Tammy from Douglas. Thanks, Tammy. That's fine to use the chat too. The annotation practice is going to come in handy for us later, so we'll go ahead and clear these right now. Thanks for those of you who managed to figure that out. And I'm going to start our presentation right here. And oh, I'm still annotating, sorry. And Rhonda from Cheyenne. All right. So tonight, what we're going to cover, pretty simple stuff. We're only going until 7 o'clock. And I thought it was Pat. So my phone was giving me a weird time. And we also, Erica, nope, just take notes on the folks who win so we can make sure they get their prizes later. Thank you. So overview of the pyramid model, very brief tonight. Then we're going to talk about building relationships with children. And we're focused on children tonight, although relationships with coworkers and families are also important, and we'll be covering those in other portions of our training. Ongoing monitoring and positive encouragement of those relationships is also going to be part of what we're going to talk about tonight. So the pyramid model, as many of you know, it's a public health model. It's tiered, with a base, a foundation of supports for all people in the workforce, for all environments, and for all children. And those are aimed at promoting the development for all children. It provides a conceptual framework for an array of interventions and approaches. So from very generalized approaches for all children in our settings to those who may need some more individualized support. And of course, this is the pyramid. At the base of it, an effective workforce. Uh, all of you who are part of that workforce, all of us, and we work especially on these first two tiers above the workforce, nurturing responsive relationships, which is what we're focusing on tonight, and high quality supportive environments. These are the supports that we give to all children in all environments. And as we look at the side of the pyramid here, we're talking about supportive, responsive relationships among adults and children is an essential component to promote healthy social and emotional development. No argument there, right? So these are some of the key social emotional skills children need as they enter school. And of course, all of these are developed as a result of their ability to have good relationships with adults, and primarily with adults. Of course, we want children to relate well to their peers also, but we know that children learn best in the context of supportive, responsive relationships with adults from birth on. It also these relationships help with confidence, concentration, cognitive development, ability to communicate and regulate themselves. Um, they also help them solve problems and help them develop themselves as individuals. Folks, if anybody wants to weigh in, what do children do when they don't have these skills? What have we seen in your settings? Leanne, for example, there in Glenrock, we know we have a lot of kids that are still needing many of these skills to be developed. What are we seeing in that classroom when these skills are absent?
A lot of behaviors.
Yeah. So they're using the behavioral communication, nonverbal communication techniques to try and get their points across and get what they want, rather than develop. Many of them are still learning how to develop good relationships, and then after that comes effectively communicate emotions. So if we're starting with the highlighted area here with relationships, hopefully we can get to those other areas. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at what they call an inventory of practices that the pyramid model has put out. We're going to review these, and I'm going to show them to you so we can kind of first get a glimpse at them, and then we're going to work with them in a more detailed way. So I kind of want to look at them generally at first. This is a whole form that I sent folks today. My apologies for not getting it out sooner, but I thought it would really be fun for us to kind of look at these, and you're going to get a chance to annotate here as well once we get into this a little bit. So first is developing meaningful relationships with children, obviously. And these areas are discussed there. Then there's examines personal, family, and cultural views of child's challenging behavior, examines own attitudes towards challenging behavior, designs the physical environment, develops schedules and routines, ensures smooth transitions, designs activities to promote engagement. And Jen, this is a section I think we ought to use when we're doing some training on that scaffolding idea we had. And then we'll also be talking more about giving directions at some point and establishing and enforcing clear rules, limits, and consequences for behavior. So I think the helpful thing about this list, it's a big inventory, obviously, but I think what can be helpful about it is that you can look it over and prioritize some areas that you think are strengths for you and some areas that you think are maybe areas of growth for you. So what we're focused on today, though, obviously, is this first section on develops meaningful relationships with children and families. And what I would ask each person to do is with the annotate again, I want you to pick one. Maybe you could just use a stamp of or a text, maybe just your initial, like your first initial. So if you think, for example, your strength is to greet children on arrival and you call them each by name, you could put your initial right in there under 3 consistently. verbally interacts with children during different routines and activities, if that's a strength for you. So just what I'm asking you to do is pick one that you feel is a strength for you. So I'm going to give you a minute to do that, and I'm going to try and find one for me. Marion put a star. It communicates with children at eye level. Nice. That's a good one.
Okay, Taryn, I can't get the antidote thing to work on my computer for some reason.
Huh. If you want to just list it in chat, that's fine.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Okay, we have folks, somebody saying they creates classroom that is a place that children and families like to be. Awesome. Rhonda is saying greet children by name. Tammy is saying number one, greet children on arrival, call them by name. Excellent. More communicates with children at eye level. And somebody put a little heart here. So we got a variety of strengths here. And I'm curious, would someone share, why they think that's a particular strength for them? Marion, you were kind of quick there with communicating with children at eye level. What was it that has made that a strength for you over time?
I think it's just thinking through the lens of what it's like to be a child and have everybody talking over you all the time. I think it's just this reminder that out of respect for them, you want to make communication easy and make it different and feel more welcoming than what they might encounter on a fairly regular basis in other points of their life.
Right. Yeah, thinking from that other perspective of the child is so important. And Tammy said, I think starting the day off with a positive message. Thanks, Tammy. That's so important. I mean, when the child walks in the door and you're helping them connect with the classroom, that's wonderful. Let's see, who else? Go ahead.
For myself, I put create not so much classroom because I'm not in it, but try to create a space for children and even for other kids in my home, like in my area, to feel welcome and comfortable. I know usually our house is like the spot to go to just because I don't talk down to them. I put the rules out like, okay, you have to respect each other, you have to clean up after yourself, but they know that this is a safe space for them.
Nice. And it probably makes the space feel more comfortable to you.
Absolutely.
And remind me which one you chose. I saw yours, but then it disappeared real quick. Which one was yours? Anne, are you there? Leanne's putting hearts all over the place here. Well, no worries. Let's clear this off and we'll get back to talking a little bit more on the presentation here. I think it's important to know our areas of strength because for me, it can really be helpful to just, know what you can rely on when you're kind of feeling overwhelmed. There are those times in the classroom where I just want to be, getting connected with kids. And sometimes I don't feel very confident about that. And I just want to figure out how to do that with the skills I know I can kind of count on. And for me, I know, for example, that I'm really good about being positive with kids when they're showing me positive behaviors. So I love doing that. And I'm regularly rewarding children with, a high five or come, hold on to Mr. Mac's thumbs and jump with me and, dancing or whatever. And it's a great way to have some connections with the children. So we looked at this inventory of practices. We looked at one in that area that's our strength. And then, the next part for us is really to look at, what's our area to improve. So I'm going to pull that up again, and this time we're going to just pick an area. You can put your initial this time if you feel you want to do that, or you can put a stamp. And I'll say, I think my area to improve is really about, I think, communicating with children at eye level. That's a hard one for me. And I love what Marion said, but it's difficult for me because I'm 6'3". I'm the wrong height for this work. And so I'm going to put a little star there that I need to work on getting down at children's eye level. And at my age, it's getting a little more difficult, but I need to make the effort. So others, what's an area of growth, area of potential growth for you? Katie, that's a struggle for you too. I think you're taller than I am.
We're the same height, Mr. Matt. And I have a bad knee, and
Oh yeah.
25 years of getting up and down off the carpet or those tiny chairs, my knees hurt often. And sometimes it's hard to just remember in that moment that not only am I an adult, I'm a very tall adult. And so reminding yourself to get down, even though if it's might be hard to get back up.
Yeah. I have a little stool that I take with me for disc golf tournaments, and I'm thinking about bringing it to work so that I can just flip it out, set it down, and sit down. So I'm right at eye level with these kids rather than having to get all the way on the ground sometime or crouch down on my knees. It's a lot of pain. Let's see who else has one they want to talk about. And who was that put speaks calmly to children?
That would be me. I tend to get a little excited, and I know that children take longer to process information. So I always remind myself when going into a classroom to speak slower and calmly, because I don't need to be the reason that kids get ramped up.
But I am the reason kids get ramped up. I have to be careful about that too. I admit it.
Well, my kids have been looking for you since you left my classroom. So
sorry, Rhonda.
when is Mr. Matt coming?
As soon as everybody's healthy again. And I love that idea, Rhonda, of using a variety of strategies for building relationships. And I think I tend to rely heavily on a certain area sometimes. And I want to be careful about that. I told Kristen, I think she's on with us, but when I get to know kids, I go poke them in the belly or something. And it's usually something physical that I'll do with children. Of course, that doesn't always work. And sometimes I get some really negative responses. So I have to be careful about it. These are great ideas, folks, and so important for us to know both what our strengths are and also gives us something to focus on when we can think about, here's something that might be helpful for me to consider when it comes to things I can learn about or do more with, or something different with. So getting back into this, building relationships. Why is it important? Children learn and develop in the context of relationships that are responsive, consistent, and nurturing. You've already heard this a couple times tonight. You'll probably hear it at least one more time. Building relationships obviously helps children feel accepted, helps them learn to communicate and get along with others, encourages feelings of empathy and respect, creates a supportive environment where children can learn, and it also shows them appropriate and acceptable behaviors as individuals and as a group. Where all of these things are obviously potential when we're working on our ability to be positive and nurturing with children in those relationships. Now, this I think was important. I stole this out of the Pyramid Module 1, and I think it's important that we pay attention to the cultural expectations that we have when we are thinking about our work with children and our work with families, because this is really intimate work. And by intimate, I mean we are working with one another on a level of familial relationship, pretty much. The woman who was the child care provider for my sons when they were in daycare years and years ago, she helped us be better parents, and she was an extension of our parenting. And that's how each of you are who work in classrooms, and that's how our programs are. They're an extension of a family in many cases. And as families go, so do expectations. And the culture of different families will lead to different expectations. So Korean American mothers believe parents and children should play together. Like 54% of them agree to that. European American mothers tend to think at a higher percentage of those folks think that that's important. The 71% of Korean American mothers from this study said that they prefer children play with sex type toys, like boys play with trucks, girls play with dolls. European American mothers generally support that at a level of 43%. So as you can see, these are some contrasts. Now, does this mean that one group is right, one group is wrong? Not at all. These are cultural differences, and they're important to understand, because if my practices in a classroom are at odds with what a family does as a part of their culture, we're going to have more difficult time connecting and providing that child a supportive, positive relationship. I'm curious if anybody has had an experience with this kind of cross-cultural work in your classroom, where maybe there was a challenge that was more based in culture than it was, truly behavior from the child, or even, it wasn't a lack of your skill. It's just a cross-cultural effect for you.
A couple years ago when I taught in Laramie, I had a family that the dad believed that the son should only speak with male teachers. And unfortunately, we didn't have any male teachers at our building, so he had to compromise and be able to talk to females as well as males. So it was kind of like the dad was really upset about it. But in childcare, you don't really see a lot of males in our field. So it was kind of like we had to meet in the middle kind of thing.
Yeah. Some research I looked at today had recruited childcare providers and preschool teachers across a wide swath of centers, and had only 2.4% of those teachers were male. So yeah, we have a very small percentage of men in the industry. Very small percentage of the industry is men. So that can be a challenge, obviously. And it sounds like he had really no choice but to compromise. So that kind of happens sometimes. So this next section is sometimes we have a difficult time handling, or we have children that have difficult behaviors that might challenge our classroom management, our behavioral management, or even our stress. So one of the things we want to talk about is that we still have to develop a relationship with those children, even though those children may present challenges for us and may cause us stress. And so I think this is such a helpful slide, as is the next one, to talk about, here's the upsetting thing that I might think: this child is a monster, or this is getting ridiculous, or I'm really tired of this. And then the calming thought to give yourself is, this child is a monster. No, this child is testing to see where the limits are. My job is to stay calm and help him learn better ways to behave. He'll never change. I can handle this. I'm in control. They have just learned some powerful ways to get control. I will teach them more appropriate ways to behave. An upsetting thought might be, I wonder if the corner grocery is hiring. The calming thought is, I feel undervalued right now. I need to seek support from my peers and supervisor. He ruins everything. This is going to be the worst year of my career. Having her in my class is going to be a wonderful professional development experience. And I got to say, like, sometimes for me, my immediate response with some issues that children might bring to the table are around, kind of, well, usually it's making a mess is one of the things that triggers me. So a kid spills something or makes a mess, or God forbid, blows his nose on my sleeve, which I've had happen. Those things tend to trigger me. And my usual calming thought that helps me quite a bit is that, hey, this kid's doing the best that he or she can at this time. This child's doing the best they can. Has anybody else experienced that where they have a calming thought that's really helped them? Leanne, I'm wondering about you because you've worked in the toddler classroom so much and with infants, and you've got to be thinking along those lines sometimes. Leanne, go ahead.
I know with me, like sometimes I'll think the upsetting thought, but I'm actually doing the calming thought verbally.
Yeah.
Just because sometimes in my head I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? And then I'm like, okay, take a deep breath, and then I talk the calming thoughts.
Do you have an
Like
example in
out
mind,
loud.
Rhonda? Do you have an example in mind?
So one of my students that I have right now, he was having a tantrum, and he pushed over he was gonna push over my cubbies, and I was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Like inside my head, and then out loud I'm like, it's okay, let's calm down, and I'm using my calm voice to trying to get him to de-escalate, and it actually helped and it worked, and so he calmed down pretty quickly, so I was happy about that.
Yeah.
But inside I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on?
Right. And for me, in those times, there's a sense of like, oh, if I let them know how worried I am or how anxious or stressed I am, this could destabilize the situation even more.
I'm sorry, Tiernan, you called on me. I still had the annotate on and I was putting stars all over the mute button.
Well done.
I think I've learned over the years that my demeanor helps to create my environment. And so just reminding myself that if I stay calm, things get better. If I stay calm, then I can help this child, or I can get through this so that they can get through this. Because I've seen over and over again how your demeanor and how your calm can really help the environment and help the children to be able to calm themselves more quickly. So it's hard, it's challenging.
Absolutely.
For sure, but just reminding myself that, just to take deep breaths and stay calm, and then if I can work through things myself, I can help them work through things.
Right. And I think the other thing I'm recalling that is that if I do a good job of developing the relationships that are so important that we're talking about tonight, then when I am calm, the children are going to be more likely to experience that calm than if they don't have that relationship with me. So, if I've got, I remember Katie and I were working with a young boy last year who would really kind of fly off the handle at times, but he was pretty easy to relate to initially. And so we developed a pretty fast friendship just by playing cards together. And he got mad about something that one of his peers did, and he walked up to the wall and just kind of screamed at the wall and stood there facing it. And I thought, this is outstanding. I mean, this is a safe way to be angry. And he wasn't, even his scream wasn't overly, melodramatic or trying to, make too big of a point. It was appropriate. And I just went over and I thanked him for being safe and for being angry. And I was really calm, and he could experience that calm because we were already so close to each other. We already had a good relationship. So when I said thank you, all he did was turn to me and give me a hug. And it was just a really nice connection that we could have, and we could share that calm together, just as Leanne was talking about. Has anybody had the experience of having to remind themselves that, okay, this chaos that I'm experiencing, or the stress I'm experiencing, is temporary? I think that's a helpful one for us, but has anyone ever used that?
I think I've used that in the past, as far as trying to remember that what you're seeing in those behaviors are a symptom or an expression of them trying to show you what they maybe don't have the words to say. And for me, it's always been a reminder that, well, now we can now we're going to keep working forwards, and we're going to really give this child some skills, and we're going to see progress. So for me, sometimes it's just always a really good motivator to remember how much they need you and how much support and love and help you can offer them. So that always helps me take a breath and calm down a little.
Nice point. Yeah, I mean, if I can just keep myself calm and remind myself it's temporary. And Tammy said in the chat that she uses it every day, this idea that the chaos is temporary. We're going to make it through, and giving ourselves those reminders is really helpful. We're going to watch a quick video here. This teacher is going to do some really positive things in terms of her conversation with this little girl that she's talking to. And I just want to, we'll share, and we'll kind of get your thoughts about it afterwards. Can folks hear that?
No.
Let me try this over. I'm not sharing computer sound. I'm gonna make sure and do that. All right, let's try it now. If you don't hear it as it's playing, just interrupt it.
Pajama party or slumber party.
Oh, that sounds like fun. I used to have those when I was little.
What?
Pajama parties.
You?
Yeah, we'd have pizza and stuff, you know.
We used to have pizza. I had pizza at the center.
At the center?
Yep.
Is it from the pizza place, or does a lady make it?
The lady make it. We was watching SpongeBob movie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. How is it?
Great. It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Can you tell me about the story? Because I don't know anything about it, because I don't have little kids at home to watch this stuff. So you all have to tell me what's going on.
Well, I'll tell you about the stuff eating.
Okay, go
and
ahead.
toys.
What happened?
They are copying you by the house area and the block area and the computer and the writing area and the painting area and
We don't have art now. Remember, that's our studio. Is that the after-school place you go to?
yeah, and they got sand
But
and they copy the doors we got
whose is better, this class or the after-school?
this class.
Why?
Cause I like it when Janelle was there and Rita and Miss Ellie.
Okay.
and Miss Elizabeth.
So what do you do? What do you do there?
Well, I can tell you the stuff they got.
What do they got?
They got red, blue, green, and some more planks and bowls.
Yeah.
The same cups.
Yeah. Oh, so they don't use paper when they eat? They have regular cups and stuff? Yeah.
For the house area.
Oh, they have the same ones as us?
Yup. They copying you with everything. And the other one computer work and the other computer work.
Well, that one computers. We're gonna try to get it fixed. I'm gonna ask, okay? Because it's hard to wait your turn, huh? Who's over there on the rug? That Miss Bella?
Miss Bella and Miss Elizabeth.
Oh. So, but you have a good time there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think, I don't think they're really copying us. I think they know what children like to play with. So they have the same stuff. What's your favorite thing there?
I'll tell you what's my favorite toy.
What's your favorite toy?
Later with my teacher, Miss Ellie.
Oh, what about the after school? What do you like there?
I like to play with Kelly and Claudia.
Oh, so you made new friends already?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's because you're a wonderful little girl, huh? Have they been there for a long time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they helped you out with like the rules and stuff?
Yeah.
Or do they have the same rules as us?
Yup.
Same?
The old ones.
The old ones?
And they try to copy us with the brand new stuff too.
Yeah, but do you remember when we talked about if someone copying you, that means they must like what you're doing, so it's okay? So they must think that we're really good here, huh? Yeah, you think so?
I'm not sure what a patty is or pizza, but it's a great video. I love seeing that interaction. What do folks see that this teacher did to really build that positive relationship?
Gave her her undivided attention.
Yeah. What else do folks see?
Talking about the child's interests.
Definitely.
I loved her facial expressions.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that was what I was gonna say. Like she really seemed engaged, and it looked like that she made the girl feel very important.
Definitely. Tammy pointed out how she was listening, just like took time to listen. It seemed like she was really captivated by what this little girl had to say. Can you imagine how special that little girl felt? What else did folks see?
Something simple, but she was at her level and doing her activity with her, and it wasn't just I'm gonna kind of be here with you, but I need to pay attention to everything else. Like we're gonna engage and we're gonna have the time to really talk and play.
Yeah. This is about connection. This isn't about anything else. That's a really good point.
It seemed very genuine and authentic. That was a long exchange. She easily could have cut it short at a couple exchanges and felt like, I did a good job. But that was a long, continued conversation, and she really was retaining the information and continuing the conversation, and it just seemed like an authentic moment.
Definitely. Beautiful. I like how she kept questioning, asking questions that helped that little girl talk about herself too. What was your favorite thing? Those are really nice, and children in this age group, they're going to do better talking about themselves and what they like better than probably about anything else, right? Anything else folks saw? I love the eye contact and being at her level, like folks mentioned. What else?
I like that she gave her she kept on referring to prior knowledge. So like whenever she was talking about remember when we talked about if somebody likes something, they must really like what you're doing or something like that.
Yeah. Here she is saying, if people copy you, it's because they like what you're doing. And so they've already had that conversation, that prior knowledge is there, as well as the discussion about rules. Oh, do they have the same rules we do? And you can tell it's a known entity that we know what the rules are. We share that knowledge. I love seeing those types of interactions. It's just really fun. So as we're thinking about building positive relationships, one of the things we want to consider is a 5-to-1 positive to negative. So a positive interaction or a positive attention to a child, that would be kind of obvious, right? Oh, is Anne giving somebody some positive attention?
She unmuted me. I didn't even know.
She is very skilled. How's that for positive attention? Erica, you've got little Miss Smarty Pants Alina at home, and she demands positive attention all the time. What's the best kind of positive attention for her?
For her, it's just listening to her, because she has all these stories and all these things that she talks about, and so just giving her that undivided attention. And then for like, she's really been into dragons for like 2 years already. She assigns everyone their dragon and stuff, so the best way to like keep her focused and stuff and giving her attention is to go along with it. So like when she talks to Andrew on the road, she'll ask about the dragon that she sends to him to keep him safe. So she'll be like, well, how's Windshear? And then Andrew will just go into it. He's like, Windshear blew the back of my truck off and now he's in trouble. So she goes with it. And so we, we do as well. And then we just watch the same movies over and over with her. And so it's just, yeah, making sure that we're engaged in the conversation with her and just go along with it.
Right. I love it. I love the way Andrew plays along with that stuff. He's really good. For folks to know, he's an over-the-road trucker, and so Alina's calling him and interrupting his day with questions about the imaginary dragon that she sent him to keep him safe, which is wonderful. But
yeah, one of the things that she wants him to do is look for a mermaid. So he's like, Daddy, please tell me if you see a mermaid. So Andrew's like, I wonder if there's a way to like take a picture of my truck and like Photoshop a mermaid near it. To kind of, show that, to show that he sure is looking for a mermaid.
You should have somebody take some pictures of him with some binoculars.
Right.
You mentioned a couple things there, Erica, the listening piece and also the following the child's lead. Those are such positive ways to give attention to children. And I think that was also evident in that video. That teacher wasn't trying to tell that little girl what to think or what to say. She would ask questions to delve deeper into certain subjects, but she wasn't telling her what to do. She wasn't telling her how to respond. She wasn't dictating how play was going right then either. What do folks think about this challenge of maintaining a 5-to-1 positive to negative? For me, sometimes it can feel overwhelming, but I'm curious what others think.
It makes me definitely gonna have to like research some more things so that I can do the positive to, the 5-to-1, talking positive about things that interest that child.
Yeah, good idea.
For me, it makes me think about how intentional I really have to be throughout the day, just to really focus, especially when you have the 15 to 20 kids and you really should be depositing 5 positive things for every one little one thing that you might have say negatively. That, like you said, can be a little bit overwhelming, but I think being really intentional and trying to come up with special little ways that maybe can reinforce the positives for certain kids.
Right. I think one of the challenges that I have felt better about recently over the last few years, I've really focused on this, is how to stay positive regardless. And so for me, what I think about is I've got a child who might be having a rough time. And what I'm trying to do is say, tell me, let's try and figure out what you want. And I'm giving them positive attention still, because I'm not giving them a command. I'm not giving them a directive. And I try to avoid those as long and as far as I can without kind of leaving chaos in their wake. But I want to also be just open to this idea of how do I, even when a child is having some struggles in terms of their regulation or their behavior, how do I still be positive about that? And I've had times where a child's having a tough time and I've just said, I've kind of non-verbally turned to them and said, come here. I've just, kind of beckoned them with my little finger there. And a child comes over and I get a chance to say, thank you for coming over. Are you okay? It looks like you were very angry. And still, that's a positive attention. That's positive connection right there, as opposed to, hey, Freddie, stop. And so sometimes we can turn turn a negative into a positive by just paying attention to it in a different way and giving children a way to reconnect, despite the fact that they're kind of disconnecting at that time.
And I was going to say,
go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say too that, a lot of teachers feel like we have to make things better with our words a lot of the time. And when kids are so upset that they're having a hard time even functioning from that reasoning part of their brain, sometimes just being near them, being with them without saying anything, makes a huge difference, just showing them that you're there. Because sometimes when just remembering that sometimes your language in that certain situation isn't going to help anything because you're not getting through to them. So it's just, you know, being there, giving them that positive physical touch, and just showing them that you're gonna be there with them until things are better and things are calm, and showing that you're in it there with them without, you know, consistently trying to talk them through the problem.
That's a fantastic comment, Leanne. I really wholeheartedly agree. We get into these situations where we really do have an opportunity to provide that regulation, and we can be that connection for these kiddos. And it makes me think about also the fact that many of the things that we're going to do in the midst of challenging times are going to be efforts to comfort a child at a younger developmental level. And so, like she's saying, words are not going to help a lot of times when we're in the midst of a real meltdown. And sometimes just proximity and some eye contact and gentle touch is going to be exactly what the doctor ordered. And if you think about that, that's how we comfort an infant. And so it's important for us to keep in mind infant development all the way through age 5, age 6 with the kids that with whom we get to partner, because we're going to see that entire range in their behavioral and emotional abilities. Because sometimes they're going to regress when they have a challenge, or when they're feeling sick, or when they haven't slept in a few days, or when there's something else going on that's tough. I regress all the way back to teenage sometimes. It's really ugly. And Marion said it takes practice. Sometimes physical reminders help. For example, rubber bands on your wrist. And she also said narrating what a child is doing can feel positive also. And it's so true. Particularly when they're showing us behaviorally that they're mad or sad or scared. Gosh, it sure looks like you're mad, and I just want to thank you for being mad and being safe. And they know, so Marion says they know and feel that you are paying attention to them. It can be a proactive, effective way to support children through times of the day that may be difficult. Really good point, because I tend to see that. I visited a few classrooms lately where it seems like 11 o'clock hits and the chaos takes over. And many times I learned later that we've got a kid who had who actually was struggling because they usually take a nap at that time of day, or they get really hungry at that time of day. They graze all day at home, and they don't do that at school. So really good points here.
I found that parroting, or really just saying, I think you look like this, are you upset, really has de-escalates the kid more times than not, just because they're trying to communicate and they don't have those words. And if you're helping them give those words, then it helps them, okay, I'm being heard, so I don't have to up the ante to try to get you to hear me more. I can try to get my needs met then.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, Miss Jen understands me. I don't have to do more to get my point across. She knows I'm upset, and she knows how powerfully upset I am. And so this is kind of where I want to think about that broad age spectrum, or that broad developmental spectrum that we work with. Acknowledging a child's communication, verbal or nonverbal, that's an essential piece of what we do with every age, developmental age, infancy all the way through preschool and kindergarten. And we're going to have children that are showing us nonverbal behaviors or nonverbal emotions, and we're going to help them interpret that and narrate that for them, just as was mentioned here by Marion and Jen. And we're going to look for ways to acknowledge what they're saying verbally too, or we're going to give them the verbal terminology for what they're trying to tell us. Greeting children by name, of course, that's something we do regularly with infants too. We use their name all the time, so they are starting to develop a sense of identity at a very young age. We engage in these one-on-one interactions at eye level. And again, this is something we do across this developmental spectrum from infancy to preschool. We're working with children one-on-one with eye contact at eye level. using a pleasant, calm voice and simple language, warm, responsive physical contact. And I want to highlight that piece, that responsive physical contact. And I think a few people have touched on it tonight, and that's no pun intended there. But it's so important that we not lose sight or not lose touch with the kids literally, because we have a lot of children who are still relying on physical contact to help give them directions, to help them feel comfortable, to help them regulate, to help them feel connected. So let's don't shy away from that at any age, with which we work in our Head Starts and our preschools and our infant and toddler rooms. These children need to experience warm physical contact, even in the COVID days. Just don't breathe all over them. We want to follow the child's lead, which it's amazing how you think about how we even do that with infants and toddlers. Like an infant starts cooing at me, I immediately start trying to use the same utterances back. A toddler does something funny, I want to do something funny like that toddler. This is part of being human, that we follow leads and we strike up these interests and follow their interests so we can engage with them. We listen to children, encourage them to listen to others, and we acknowledge a child's accomplishments and efforts. And the big piece about effort here, and I feel like I've lost sight of this for a little while here, but when we acknowledge effort, we help children recognize that they can have a growth mindset. So a growth mindset is one in which we believe that we can grow and change and we can become something different as we mature. Fixed mindset kind of believes almost like my brain is full. I'm kind of pessimistic about the idea of change or growth, and please don't bother me with that. But effort leads to growth. And when children learn that effort leads to growth, they learn that a fixed mindset doesn't necessarily describe their experience. A growth mindset is actually created by showing that I can have these efforts and that I can then, through those efforts, change and grow and do something different and fun. So think about these deposits and these withdrawals. What withdrawal do you think is your typical one that you want to be careful about? And what deposit is one that you want to focus on? So again, we can use the annotate here, or you can feel free to just weigh in, unmute yourself and let us know what you're thinking. I think for me, I want to stop the don't. Stop is right below it, but I want to use don't less, and I want to actually do more wait time. And wait time here means that I'm giving a child a chance to think through responses when I ask something of them. When we think about a 2 or 3 year old, they typically take 30 seconds to really develop a response to a request if we ask a question. So I want to focus on wait time, and I want to use don't less. What do other folks see? Oh,
I know
Leanne.
I've used no a couple of times, but mainly I feel like I'm using more of a loud voice these days, and I kind of want to work on more on the wait time and maybe observation, or the things I was thinking about.
Nice. Yeah. So less of the loud voice, more wait time, more observation. Katie, is that you also saying wait time and less stop? I think Leanne was saying reflection.
Yeah, I think especially when you're in that maybe feeling overwhelmed moment, maybe when you've got a few things running through your mind and maybe the room seems like it's a little more hectic than you'd like it to be. For myself, I need to remember to have that pause and let them formulate that response and that answer. Sometimes I have to remember that adults don't like it when you snap your fingers and demand a response right away without being able to think about it. So why would they? And then stop. When I'm feeling really frustrated, you tend to, sometimes you just come out with that word. and I want to use that less in the classroom.
And Tammy was saying she wants to use more observation. Leanne, I'm supposing you want to unmute yourself because you put a heart down there.
Yes, I keep forgetting to take that off. So I put intimidating request to stop doing, because I'm thinking of our preschool classroom right now. And the fact that a lot of our kids this year are functioning at a lower developmental age range than what their physical age is. And I think that even we're noticing that too long of sentences can even be an intimidating request for some of those kids. So cutting down the number of words that we're using in sentences with these kids can make a difference in their understanding and them feeling intimidated by what you're asking them to do.
Awesome. Such a good point. Keep it simple, right?
For me, it was the given directions and demands. I need to work on that a little bit more as far as I get kind of frustrated when they don't understand what I'm trying to tell them, explain things to them. And so then my demeanor like goes higher and stuff. And then it causes more issue than what it needs to.
Right. Really good point. And I think it's a real art form to know how to give directions to a preschooler or an infant or a toddler. It's hard. It's really a challenge because you want to keep it brief, you want to keep it simple, but you also have some complicated things to communicate sometimes, and it's really hard. Obviously, I think we've covered this enough. The benefits of having that positive relationship with adults in particular, we're getting better emotional, cognitive, and social development, secure relationships, good peer relationships, reduce problem behaviors, positive self-esteem, and more child engagement. Erica, I need your help. Can you pick a number between 1 and 5 so we can figure out who our other winner is for the night?
4.
4. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Katie, you win our next Amazon gift card. Wait, did Katie win earlier?
She won earlier.
All right, Rhonda wins the other one. So Katie and Rhonda, congratulations. Everybody, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah. Katie and Rhonda, could you please put your email address in the text so I can send you your gift certificate?
Erica, I've got them. I'll send them to you. So you don't need to do that, folks. I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Tammy, thanks for joining us, and thanks for your comments in chat. Everybody, keep up the great work you're doing for kiddos out there. And our next one is going to be on December 2nd. I'll notify you all in the coming days about that. And we'll look forward to having you on then.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Karen.